Family and consumer sciences friends, professionals, and partners, and career and technical education experts, administrators, partners, and stakeholders. My name is Karin Athanas, and I am the Executive Director of the American Association of Family and Consumer Sciences. I am here this week in Minneapolis, Minnesota, celebrating family and consumer sciences with fellow associations and professionals. And this week, we took a few minutes to step away from our celebrations to watch the recent announcement from Advanced CTE on their draft career clusters framework. A career cluster, for those unfamiliar, is a grouping of careers that require similar academic and employability skills that align with occupational knowledge and skills. There are several approaches to the development of career clusters that have been proposed and tested throughout the years, and a focus on careers in combination with industries supported by those careers has been common. The Family and Consumer Sciences, founded as home economics, includes careers related to human services and consumer services, and has been both an employability skills builder and career pathway for many students throughout the United States. As such, the family and consumer sciences industry has been working diligently to follow Advanced CTE's process to advocate for the inclusion of family and consumer sciences in a revised and modernized national framework. Many states tie funding for instructional programs and courses to specific clusters. If a state has 5 clusters, as an example, each cluster is allocated an amount of funding to support their programs and courses. Not having a cluster means that your programs may receive no funding at all. Not having a cluster in the national framework also reduces the visibility of those programs and courses. Educators certified as family and consumer sciences educators who carry bachelor's and master's degrees and even PhDs in family and consumer sciences are not called family and consumer scientists because they must work educating learners under other clusters that are included in the national framework because FCS is not. So doing, they lose their identity as family and consumer scientists, and it weakens their ability to advocate for additional support and services from their state. And finally, the lack of the inclusion of family and consumer sciences as a cluster leaves students without the needed information to make a well-informed decision about their future career choices. Myself and others from the family and consumer sciences industry have met with and shared information with Advanced CTE and brought to the attention of the Department of Education and many other government institutions the fact that not including family and consumer sciences in the national framework hurts students, reduces their future opportunities for gainful employment and advancement within their careers, and reduces or prevents the availability of funding for our programs. That is why many of us watching along as Advanced CTE announced its draft framework were disappointed because not only have they grouped clusters that have previously been separate clusters, they've downgraded clusters to cross-cutting topics, which may reduce or eliminate funding for those clusters. And finally, chosen to disregard and not include valuable clusters that had not previously been included, such as the family and consumer sciences. In his own words, Advanced CTE's Associate Director of State Policy, Dan Hinderleiter, stated that they focused on clusters that they felt were representative of good jobs and occupations that a learner can have throughout their life, and mentioned a focus on high skill, high wage, in-demand careers. But what is a good job? Advanced CTE made clear that they excluded government services occupations, meaning those career pathways that lead to employment in state and federal agencies. This should be striking to many of us, as the United States is the biggest employer, and I, for one, see government service as a good job. In fact, I see all jobs as good jobs. Employment provides individuals with a sense of purpose, funds the resources that they need to live healthy and successful lives, and helps them to build strong families and communities. And yet, only certain jobs in advanced CTE's eyes are considered good. And I can only conclude that those careers included in the draft framework are the ones that advanced CTE has determined are the good jobs. Advanced CTE also emphasized during the webinar that the framework needed to represent the interdisciplinary nature of the work. And I agree, these clusters are not silos. They overlap and weave into each other, providing those in K-12 programs an opportunity to learn skills that will support their advancement in a wide range of careers, to try out careers that they normally wouldn't have an opportunity to learn about, and decide early if a career would be a good fit for them. No longer do students stay in one career for their entire lifetime. They will weave a lifetime of careers together to have their advancement and to create their lives. And so too, the clusters must be weaved together. However, I do not see the interdisciplinary nature of these careers captured in advanced CTE's current framework, nor in the proposed modernized framework. And I admit the way some states fund the career clusters make it difficult to capture this interdisciplinary nature. But these are not separate boxes or a wheel of options. They are overlapping circles of student choice. Students should be encouraged to take a class in agriculture, a class in business and marketing, a class in family and consumer sciences, and more. Unfortunately, the draft framework continues to represent the clusters as silos, ignoring the future of work and the needs of students. Finally, it can be easy to assume that careers that focus on the home and helping individuals live healthy, successful lives are low wage without opportunities for advancement. These careers have historically been majority women's spaces, some doing the work as government agents or even volunteers. There's this stigma that women do not deserve the same recognition for the careers that they've chosen to pursue, that choosing to focus on the home makes an individual's job less valuable or seen as not a good job. And when those individuals stand up to ask to be heard, to be seen, and to be respected as equal to others, they are accused of being argumentative, emotional, and disruptors, as if seeking improvements to a broken system is wrong. Women won the right to legally vote in the United States in 1920. That's only 100 years ago. In the United States, women gained the right to open their own bank accounts in the 1960s. That's only 60 years ago. And for the last 20 years, we have been excluded. The family and consumer sciences has been excluded from the framework. For only 60 years, have women entrepreneurs been able to secure the money they need to run their own businesses and their own lives. And yet we are still being told to sit down and be quiet so that others can decide for us what we can and cannot do, what we can and cannot be seen doing, and which of the jobs we choose to do are good jobs. In the family and consumer sciences, salaries in many of our professional content areas are in the high 5 to 6 figures. Family and consumer scientists are called upon to advise governments on ways to combat emerging challenges like obesity, the opioid epidemic, the housing crisis, consumer product safety, and more. We are the voice of those that have no voice. And we both serve in our careers to help those around us to study and learn how to best support individuals and communities. And we also volunteer our time to continue to lift up and advance others. And yet our careers are not good enough to be recognized, not good enough to be included. My response to you is that we are all good enough. There is enough room for all of the careers and technical education disciplines to be included in a modernized framework. It's time that the framework truly be inclusive, allowing states to pick and choose those clusters that make the most sense for them and the unique communities that they serve. And the clusters should overlap to better represent the interdisciplinary nature of all clusters. By doing so, Adding a new cluster would never weaken another, but make it stronger and the framework more effective. I hope that you will join me to collectively, with transparency and a view towards inclusion, work together to craft a path for the future that no longer divides the clusters and pits us against one another, but is built up by us in partnership with the states that we support. And that we together, through a transparent, balanced, and standardized development process, create a system by which our other clusters in emerging fields that are not yet ready to be a part of the current framework can develop their curriculum and teacher certifications and apply to be part of a framework, ensuring that the framework can continue to evolve and grow as we do. And Family Consumer Sciences industry will soon release our industry and career data, which shows how good of a career students will have working in our industry. And I ask that you consider this data in developing your response to the Advanced CTE Validation Survey. In collecting our industry and career data, we focused on wage data, in-demand careers, and emerging occupations in our field. These are the areas that Advanced CTE identified in their webinar that they were interested in and considered when developing their draft framework. These numbers show that our industry is thriving, that students have a bright future in FCS with many opportunities, and we ask that you please join us in using the data to advocate for a new inclusive framework. Thank you. I look forward to working with all of you and with Advanced CTE. We can only modernize our processes and help build a new inclusive framework together. And so I'm excited to partner with them and to provide the data and resources needed to ensure the recognition and validation of the Family and Consumer Sciences cluster. Thank you so much. I look forward to working with all of you.